Hello and welcome to the Foundry Roundtable, a podcast exclusively covering the Foundry for Star Trek Online. Except for when the Foundry is down, in which case we stretch and try and find things to do, so that we don't, sort of like stagnate and just have, endless stretches where we don't have shows. So tonight we're going to dig back into our time machine. Yes, we will fire up the DeLorean and get to 88 miles an hour and go all the way back to 2006.
Hellish time where we only had limited online connectivity for our consoles. It was a sheer luxury to be able to play Halo 2 in a matchmaking setting.
Where was I? I was in college at the time. Must have been like about a junior in college or something like that.
What year was this again?
2006.
Oh.
Was this after the end of Enterprise?
Yes.
That was
Enterprise
2005.
ended in what, like 2005 or 4? Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I think so.
So it was like right on the beginning of the Star Trek drought.
Yeah. And this was the game that we had to tide us over, so we didn't know when. So, in case I didn't mention it, I'm not entirely sure I mentioned the actual title of the game that we're going to be playing tonight. It is Star Trek Legacy.
Woo!
Yay! So, I will make fun of this game a little bit because I don't think it's the greatest game ever, but it's kind of an important game because I think it shows a clear progression from the old Starfleet Command games to, through the 1, 2, and 3 versions to this game, and then on to STO, because I think there's a clear progression in gameplay, in space gameplay anyway. Obviously STO added ground, which none of those games had. So yeah, and I don't really include Bridge Commander in that progression because it's just a very different style.
Oh yeah.
If you guys have played Bridge Commander.
Not myself, but I have played Legacy, and I definitely agree that it is one of those sort of foundational games. It's a little bit more technical than STO, just because all there is just the space combat. So they just put everything into that. But I will say that it does differ stylistically as well, just in that, like, just kind of the feel of it. Like, I actually went back to this after I went and played STO. This was a few years ago. And I will say it's a lot meatier with its sound effects, and it's just because they're lifting directly from, I think, First Contact. So it is. Yeah, I did like this one. It's just like it does have some, gameplay design later on that's just a little hard to get through.
There was a certain era of Star Trek games where they didn't have the developers recreate all of the stuff from the TV show. That some of the games would actually like have some of the like original audio stuff because like for the sound effects that you hear in the TV show, those are actually like edited in post-production, and sometimes some of these games would actually get access to the original master copies of what the sound effects were before they were edited into the film.
Yeah, and I think this one is probably one of the better examples because it does have that rich fidelity. I think this was originally released on the Xbox 360 as well as the PC. So, I mean, it's going to be a modern game, unlike some previous examples where, you're going to actually hear sound that is identifiable as sound and music that's identifiable as music. So it's... And
also, interestingly enough, voiceovers. One of the big selling point of this game was voiceovers from all the 5 at the time captains. So they had William Shatner, they had Patrick Stewart, Avery Brooks, Kate Mulgrew, and Scott Bakula. And I think this was the first game to actually include anything out of Enterprise.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, see, because that was one of those things that certain games would do because of the fact that it was relatively easy to get the actors at that point in time. Nowadays, it's, like pulling teeth because the actors have literally, stopped acting in some cases.
Well, some are continuing, but it's
interesting. These
same.
5 we don't have in Stowe.
No, because
what I heard at the time, and this is probably where you're going with this, is the expense of getting these 5 people.
Yes.
What I heard at the time, and I've heard several times, and I don't know if it's true or not, is they spent so much money getting those voiceovers that they skimped on other parts of development.
Yeah, because that's the only way you can do it. Because just that, like, we've got just with Star Trek Online, we had with the launch of the game just one comparable analog, and that was Leonard Nimoy, who definitely was going to be a pricey one because he is movie scale actor and definitely one of the leads of Star Trek. But yeah, to get 5, I mean, you're definitely eating into the overall budget of the game. That's going to be a huge thing. But at the same time, it was kind of the major selling feature for anything besides the fact that it's just got ship combat. Because otherwise, it's just a kind of it's just a spaceship, beat 'em up more or less. And the design itself wasn't too different from any of the previous games. It's just the latest iteration of Starfleet, command. So what else do you get? Well, let's just bring in all the peoples. So it was just, I think, though, it's still great just to see them actually achieve that, to get all 5. I mean, that in itself is just...
Well, it was cool. It got me excited. That's for sure.
And regardless of how the game turned out, I do think it's just sort of notable that this is the game that, for whatever else it did pull that off. It actually got those together. So we'll see, what this is going to be turn into, and hopefully hopefully it'll be one of the more entertaining ones.
Yeah, I gotta agree with that, though, is that there were definitely several of the games where it really looked like they had written the game from the perspective of finding a way to show off voice acting.
Yeah. Star Trek Armada was a little bit like that. I mean, it did have the really great aspect of being the RTS, but they also did pull in, I think, they definitely had Patrick Stewart in.
They had Patrick Stewart. They had
Sela
Crosby.
Oh yeah.
They had
they had
Bartok
Michael
and
Dorn.
Worf.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was on the fence about Worf. I was like, yeah. So, did they get anyone else from the Fed? Because those are the only ones I remember. They may have gotten the actress who did the Borg Queen as well.
One of them. I'm not sure which.
Yeah, one of them.
Yeah. Alice Kriege, I think. Or Kriega, or however you just want to say that.
Yeah.
So, why don't we get started?
So I have a confession to make. I have owned this for like a decade, and have never played it. I've never even installed it.
Well, so be interesting then.
I'm coming into this brand new.
This is going to go as badly as our Super Nintendo thing the other day.
I don't think.
You mean you don't even have a cool excuse like I did with the Pirates of Orion game, where I bought it and couldn't figure out how to make it work on my computer, so I put it in a box. Actually, I eventually figured out that in order to make the Pirates of Orion game work, I had to manually run the exe from inside the folder.
I have orders for you, but I want to show you something before you ship out.
This had better not involve Orion slave girls.
Don't worry, I read your mission report on that. No Orions, that much I can promise.
They've done some great work on her, Reggie. I hear they even managed to replace the grapplers with those new tractor beams.
We've made a lot of progress in the past years here, John, due in no small part to what you've accomplished out here. We've launched 5
not a bad ship model.
class ships in the last 2 years alone. There actually is a fleet forming out there. It's not just a dream anymore. Starfleet is becoming a reality.
Pretty soon you won't need my little ship anymore.
Not true. In fact, I need you for a delicate assignment.
Delicate?
The Vulcans have requested this mission.
Vulcans? Come on, Reggie, we both know how these things turn out.
Now, before you get in an uproar, I have good reason to send you. You've got more experience dealing with Vulcans than any other ship commander. You also have more combat time.
All right, this sounds bad. combat experience?
It's a precaution. They've requested help from Starfleet to track
Oh
down
look,
one
they're
of
building
the
their space dock.
who's apparently gone missing.
Yeah, it's the
It
little
needs work.
like stalk of the mushroom. They haven't finished the
Yeah.
app yet.
Vulcans have ships. Why do they need ours?
Oh, come on, John. It's dangerous out there. We're more capable of dealing with any trouble that might come up. Starfleet can get off on the right foot if we can handle this for the Vulcans.
Orders are orders. I'll do my part. Just make sure my helmsman
I've
gets all
just-
the information we need to begin this search. I don't want to get blindsided by lack of information from them, as usual.
I've already sent Mayweather everything you'll need.
I hope we don't regret this. Missions involving Vulcans usually mean one thing: trouble.
Interesting. The ship designs are very like halfway between int
This
and
is the last
TOS.
position of the Vulcan science ship. We're not
Yeah.
getting anything on initial scans, but we should take a more detailed look through the system.
I saw a
Let's start
data
by
list in
getting a
there.
close-range scan of that nearby planet.
Mm-hmm.
Check for any.
Then there's
signs of
that thing, which looks an awful lot like a mixture of a Kumari and the I forget what the one from TOS was called. Oh,
Uh-oh. How do we unpause the game? Hit escape?
Maybe just close.
Okay.
So for some
Okay.
reason, I think we're hearing the sound pitched down a little bit, which is odd.
White area if it is off screen, or backs over the ejector screen. Okay. Mark's board already. Okay. Press the backspace to toggle full impulse. WASD, F key to set a heading. Have ship fly in the general direction.
Aye, sir.
I like playing this on the controller because firing was pretty intuitive. It was the triggers. Good luck trying to figure that one out in this one.
At least you're doing the tutorial level, basically, so it is walking you through everything.
Yeah. They didn't do too bad. Like, it looks worse now, but yeah, they didn't do too bad of a job modeling the NX here.
No, it actually looks fairly good.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you get some of the bump
I mean,
mapping
obviously,
effects.
it's gonna be a little bit more low poly than the one we have in Stowe now. So
Yeah, but like compared to the original one, I think it's roughly on par when you look at it with bump mapping. Because right now, like from the current view, it's a little washed out. But then if you rotate the camera around, get a little bit more shadowing effect, it does look a little bit better.
Also, this looks like one of those games where they faked texture by having flat files with interesting features and.
I mean, it's definitely textured.
Yeah, I mean, this is modern gaming. Let's just put it that way.
modern-ish.
Well, I mean, 2007, like this is after
It's
Halo
12 years
2.
ago.
Yeah, this is Xbox 360 generation, which is just the previous one, the last one.
Once within range, we'll scan for debris. The ship could be among the asteroids or might have been destroyed by them. It's entirely possible if they lost power and were in distress.
This shipped in a world that had not seen Call of Duty yet. On on a big scale, because this was probably I think the same year Call of Duty 3 shipped out, so it was still a World War II.
I was going to say the original Call of Duty, which I played back on PC before it went all crazy.
Yeah, so this is
franchise.
I think so this had to have shipped after Call of Duty 2.
Back before people didn't think of Call of Duty as an Xbox game.
Well,
It started out as a direct competitor to Medal of Honor, which is on PC as well.
Yeah, so this would have shipped a few months just after Call of Duty 2. Because that was original Xbox 360 launch title, and this came out in December.
Warp drive. Sir, we're dropping out of warp.
I do like the warp effects for this.
Looks like we flushed some game out of the rocks. Be prepared. These Romulans are nasty business.
Bloodleaf WoW is asking if we can increase the volume.
Search and rescue operations. Please state the nature of your presence
Sure.
here.
Hang on.
That might blow our ears out, though.
That seems clear.
That's okay. I can increase it on his end.
Ah, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Sec. Is that any better?
Enough. Take evasive action.
We'll have to wait for him to tell us.
To fight our way out of this.
Another thing about this game is that it's kind of the end of the era of having just a ton of licensed games all at the same time.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, after this, basically Stowe is the only Star Trek game.
Yeah, that's interesting because there used to really be a whole huge number of. I mean, there was this one era where you would have movie tie-in games for movies where having a tie-in game didn't make sense.
Somewhere it did. With the Star Wars franchise, there was a lot of those games that corresponded to the movies and actually did some pretty interesting gameplay mechanics, especially in the X-Wing vein.
But even that stopped after a while.
That stopped shortly after this.
Like around Attack of the Clones.
Yeah,
I mean, the key word there is that some of the Star Wars games were cool. But when there's like 10 of them to pick from, you have like one of them that's really good, and then there's like 2 of them that people are like, why did they bother publishing this?
Yeah, it was just after this that Force Unleashed was coming out. So that was probably in development when this first shipped. So both Star Wars and Star Trek were both basically winding down their gaming. I think there was one other Star Trek game I think that came out after this, and it was an isometric top-down shooter built around the Kelvin timeline, and that was for the Xbox Live Arcade, and then eventually Steam.
And of course the Kelvin timeline game that we played on this show not too long ago.
Yeah, that was relatively not recent, but I mean that was sort of tail end of the Xbox 360 generation.
It was. I mean, I assume it would have been 2009 or 2010, somewhere in there.
Yeah, I think more 2010. I remember 0 punctuation for that one. One quick gameplay tip: throttling down can also help in these types of games where that is going to be a key mechanic of actually throttling down to get your turn rate a little bit higher.
Captain, enemy shields are down. Enemy sensors inoperative, Captain. Romulan target destroyed.
Yay! I killed one of them.
Yeah.
Good shooting, Tex.
Not for the other 19.
Well, they're just going to go hide.
Remaining vessels are disengaging. What in blazes were they doing here? Romulans are in the exact same place we happen to be looking for a missing Vulcan ship? Seems par for the course. They might have destroyed the Vulcan vessel, but until we either find the ship or its debris, we won't know for certain. Continue the search deeper into the system. We're picking up some strange readings from that nebula. Could be high-band emissions occurring naturally, but we should check it out just to be safe.
Could be, probably isn't.
You got some damage there.
Yep. Can I do anything about that?
I believe you can repair. I don't remember how.
Maybe. Because, I mean, notice that there's no visual mechanic for it, and your ship's status indicator is pretty green. like you've got a little bit of a sliver of red at the top. I don't think you can actually like that visual damage. I don't think really matters. So
actually, now that I think about it, comparing this to the status of the Enterprise after the Xindi shot it full of holes, this looks like minimal damage because after the Xindi were finished using it for target practice, it looked like half the whole plating was missing.
Actually, hold on. Go back to that menu.
I think your shields are not actually up. So.
Well, I don't think. Yeah. Okay. So you're
but,
not.
But you can see your hull is a little yellow.
Yeah, you're not at red alert. You can't turn on your shields.
Well, this is Enterprise also. Do I even have shields?
Oh yeah. No, I don't think so.
That's the other thing.
Yeah. That's right. Because you the one that like also sort of step up from previous Star Trek Starfleet Command games was just the fact that this did have that sweep of the eras.
Mm-hmm.
So you have the you have the TOS era, the N era, and then
the TOS movies, and then
TOS
also
movies,
TNG, and yeah,
and then TNG was basically just one sort of lump sum, just with Voyager. Just basically, you just swap out which ship you have.
We won't be able to stay inside it indefinitely. Let's keep this search brief. Wait, Starfleet transponder. We're picking up a beacon. There must be another Starfleet ship in the area. Proceed inside. Head directly for the beacon signal.
Try not to die.
Yep. So you got to just head straight there.
Okay.
Angle down a little bit more.
I'm starting to wonder if this is one of those games where there's like a dozen different little like keyboard controls that you're supposed to know.
Nope. This shipped on the console, so your control input is basically limited to what you would have on a Xbox 360 controller.
They outnumbered us, and I was forced to take refuge here when my warp engines were damaged.
Why didn't you contact Starfleet?
We couldn't get a message out. Scans and subspace signals seem to be hampered by the magnetic fields here. We barely made it to the safety of the nebula before its ion interference disabled our impulse drive. We've got the engines repaired, but we can't re-engage the core matrix until we've cleared the interference within the nebula. It seems to dampen our efforts to reinitiate the power flow to our engines.
Stand by. We'll tow you out so you can get your engines back online.
Make it fast, Jonathan. Our hull plating is already corroded to dangerous levels.
Is it just me, or did that guy sound like a Romulan?
Engaging tractor beam.
Then head out the way you came.
I remember being kind of annoyed by this game is that those sort of dialogue scenes went on for a long time.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like the time you spend playing the game is lengthened by all the cutscenes.
Yes.
Yeah. Although some of these missions can be pretty just long in their own right too.
Yeah.
Is the ship you're tractor beaming actually moving?
Yep.
Seems to be.
I believe it is, yeah.
See, we got hull material effects on this. It's not just, just a flat coloration. You actually have some metal.
It has damage states.
All that too.
Also, I think every time you see one of those white poofs on the screen, that's another chunk of your hull getting...
Well, there's a nebula effect.
Yeah. I think it's like constantly damaging your ship.
Yeah, notice that there's a little bit more red in the status indicator now. But that's,
You remember what I said earlier about holes in the hull? Look at the bottom of the ship.
Yep.
Yeah.
Those are some pretty exaggerated holes.
That's okay. Stowe's hull damage is pretty exaggerated too.
How many officers did you lose, Greendragoon, on your watch?
Only the
they
unimportant
were holding
ones.
a birthday party.
The thing is, that's actually pretty similar to how it looked in the episodes with the Xindi.
Our Romulan friends have returned. You have to admire their sense of timing.
It was a trap. I mean, come on now.
Now let's see if we can't give a little of what we've been taking.
All right. Ranger AU is complaining it's too quiet. Try that.
Dun 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 dun.
Just what we're about to see here is another interesting feature of this particular game is that you can have multiple ships in your party.
Yeah, and you just want to switch to the other one and have that go away because it's very exploded.
Well, that's very similar to Starfleet Command games. Is that one of the features of the Orion Pirates game was that you could capture ships and, kill or enslave their crews and put a crew loyal to you in charge of the ship. So you could be an Orion pirate with a Galaxy class starship as part of your fleet.
Okay, so it's the number keys that allow you to switch different ships. So you might just want to go to the other ship and just have it ordered to repair.
That's
there you
definitely a good idea.
Now, the one thing I will say about this ship, it does look like a little bit of it does, yeah.
It's an Enterprise Miranda.
No, it's an Enterprise a Luna.
I can see that too.
Yeah, because
of course, I don't believe the Luna had been designed at the time.
Are you sure?
Well, when was the first Titan novel?
To do the same, just in case there are any more surprises waiting for us out here.
First published 2005.
Oh, well, yeah, there you go. I assume the contest must have been before that.
We're ready to continue the search. Rick, that distress signal you were responding to, did you happen to notice if it was Vulcan?
Now that you mention it, it did have the same carrier wave amplitude the Vulcans use.
That means the ship we were dispatched to locate may be the same one that sent the distress call. What was your last bearing on the signal?
Before we lost contact in the nebula, it was directly behind that dead moon. I'm transmitting the coordinates to your helm.
Acknowledged. That's our next stop.
Objective achieved.
All right.
Where's Admiral Akbar when you need him?
It's a trap.
Interesting that repairing your hull doesn't do anything to the actual visuals.
No, because there's a Oh wait. Oh, okay. So you can actually. Oh, okay. I thought it was like a separate hull mechanic. Okay.
No, he's actually fully repaired, but it just doesn't change the damage state.
Factoid wants to know if there's a ground combat system in this game.
Nope.
Nope. It's just space.
Yep. You don't get to walk around your ship any.
Yeah. They spent all the ground money
had
on.
A little bit of that, but
yeah. They spent all the money that you might imagine would go into something like that on voice actors.
This is the Vulcan science vessel Saleya to any friendly ships in the vicinity. We are under attack by Romulan aggressors and require assistance.
Vulcan ship Saleya. This is the Starfleet vessel.
He just sounds
Enterprise.
bored.
We are here to render aid.
Certainly a fortuitous bit of timing, Enterprise. We are transmitting our coordinates to you now.
Moon, you're in the shot.
Are we sure this isn't a Romulan?
Faster if we transfer all power to the engines.
Dun 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 dun.
Okay, I need to move you to come in.
Yeah, there's a way to select both, so I think you can give them both orders at the same time.
Yeah. If you hit 5, then you group up your ships. And you can give them multiple orders at the same time.
That's the same style of selecting your things as Freedom Force did, which was a superhero themed game with ground combat.
Cease your attack, or we will open fire. As usual, the Romulans don't respond.
Doesn't seem like they would have talked, Jonathan. Suits me fine. A little more reciprocity for their earlier greeting would be grand.
Agreed. All ships, engage the Romulans and protect the Saleya.
dun, dun, dun.
Pew pew. We can provide some artisanal sound.
Pew 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 pew.
Boom! Explosions!
Wow. Now, is your other ship actually engaged?
Nope.
No.
How many pieces is the other ship in?
It's in pretty good shape right now. Gonna have it do like a quick little warp hop and then come out of warp right on top of them.
Is there a way I can do a warp hop really quickly?
Well, I mean, you just warp in and warp out.
I think you're close enough.
Well, yeah, it's just you're not. Well, now you're. Yeah, there you go.
Line it up just right, and then.
Well, luckily the AI took over your Enterprise. And
oh yeah, that's the thing where you just have that group and you can basically just swap out between them.
We were sent to find you. Just glad to see you're all right.
Well, that was one of the features in
The Vulcan government asked us to locate you and bring you back.
Intriguing.
How so?
I would say
Freedom Force is that there was an AI that would take over for you.
Is there
people.
something you want to tell me? I'm sorry, what is your name?
I am Terrell, Commander Terrell.
Commander Terrell, what exactly am I doing out here? Can you shed any light on why I was sent for you?
The Vulcan High Command does not approve of my research, nor do they wish me to succeed where so many others have failed.
I see. And what exactly is your research?
My work extends to the beginnings of our Vulcan path toward logic. I am a seeker of past truth.
An archaeologist?
Of sorts. Captain, I believe it would be enlightening if you would make your way to my research outpost.
I'm under orders to bring you safely back to Vulcan. Can you give me a good reason why we should head to this outpost?
I fear my research team may be discovered by the same Romulans who followed and attacked my ship. The loss of any further life would be most regrettable.
All right. We'll follow you back to your outpost. I don't want anyone else to get hurt. But we must be swift, Commander Terrell. There's no telling how many other Romulan ships may be in the area.
We couldn't agree more, Captain. This will take but a short time, I assure you.
Kind of sounded like Scott Bakula burped there a little bit during the recording. Just trying to stifle that back.
Well, it may be Skype artifacts.
Well, you know,
since we're hearing this through
Dragoon's
Skype,
so what is this command point system you see on the screen?
I believe you can purchase, essentially purchase ships for your party later on. And you have so many command points to do that.
Yeah.
That sounds exceptionally similar to the system they used in
yeah, in fact, here it is.
For Freedom Force for recruiting new heroes.
Let's see, he does have enough for the big battleship.
Cool. I don't know what I bought, but it looks awesome.
For two smaller ships,
Yeah. So big ship, it's just slow, but at the same time, it's just beefy. I mean, in these games, there's really no reason not to use the big ships unless you can't afford them. It's kind of like it's basically using the same model as Mech Warrior. So you've got your medium, light, heavy, except there's no difference in artillery. It's not like, hey, I'm going to take a heavy and just put a Gauss rifle on it. No. It's just this thing has just more beef.
You can't customize it. I mean, it's got, I think it's got more phaser banks, photon torpedoes, especially.
Freedom Force had the ability to make your own characters, but it was dramatically different than than just buying one of the existing heroes.
Yeah. So this is again following under sort of the classic Mech War, or kind of like what they did for Mech Assault on the Xbox. They kind of tried to simplify the experience a little bit, so they took a lot of that customization out while keeping some core features of it in.
Well, see, one of the interesting things with Birth of the Federation is that it was made by the same people who made Master of Orion, and that its ship combat used much of the same mechanics. However, Birth of the Federation does not allow you to customize your own ships.
Commander Terrell, it looks like your researchers have some company. Is there anything you might want to tell me that could help us resolve this peacefully?
Nothing that comes to mind, Captain. The Romulans are obviously the aggressors here. We must act.
I'm going to
aggressively.
That sounds like she's being conniving.
Cease your hostilities immediately.
While I prize your optimism, Captain, I suggest you speak to the Romulans in a language they understand.
Like a Vulcan hello?
Yeah, really.
Archer to all ships. Engage the Romulan vessels. We have to keep them from destroying
that
the outpost.
I have to say that that's one of those things where it's, while it wasn't technically, like officially stated on screen, it kind of seemed like that was the way that the Vulcans tended to deal with people who were belligerent to them.
You may have taken some engine damage. It is on fire. Okay, I think we're just gonna have a nacelle on fire now. Remember to bring along Big Bertha and the other ship.
Especially Big Bertha.
Yeah, because this game does have that multiple. So it's balanced, so you're using multiple ships in combat. So trying to do it with just one, it's likely to end up with a blown up Scott Bakula.
It's okay. If you blow up Scott Bakula, he will just leap into somebody else.
Well, see, because one approach that I took with Freedom Force was basically tell one person to do something, jump, tell another person to do something, jump, etc.
That's interesting. This ship has the grills from the early Enterprise from TOS.
That was, conscious effort to make it look a little bit like a progression towards TOS. I like the design.
Why can't I fire at him?
Have you gone to red alert? Oh, there you go.
There you go.
Oh, because
you have forward firing arcs.
Yeah, it's forward firing arcs, and they're pretty narrow. Yeah, I think if you're using a TNG airship, you would have been able to get those shots off. But I think, they keep it a little bit more narrow here. I do like the deflector on that one, just sort of like how it's protruding out.
It
kind of reminds me
like
of
the TOS deflector, but it has the same shape of dish as some of the later ones.
Yeah.
It reminds me of the Atlas class from Stowe.
Mm-hmm.
Well done, Captain. I will now
You put the Discovery Vanity Shield on it.
It seems the prudent course, given that your vessels are the only ones capable of defending us from another attack.
You have a point, Commander. All Starfleet ships, maintain a defensive perimeter around the outpost until everyone on board is evacuated. Nothing gets through.
Escort mission!
Yay!
If I might suggest, Captain, your ships have sustained damage in the battle. The inactive repair facility nearby may be able to solve that dilemma. However, to return it to operational status, you will have to beam some engineers inside of its control center.
And detonate them.
Alright, this ship is pretty much untouched, so I'm actually going to leave him.
Your Enterprise needs a little repairing, though.
Okay.
Where you can do 5 to group them together to give a combined order.
This is one of those sci-fi maps where I really have to wonder what the physics behind it are, because you have this glowing gas trail that has a bunch of rocks and other forms of debris in it.
We have company. Hold the station perimeter. We can't let them destroy it.
You might want to move that ship right back to the because that one's not damaged. You might want to move that right back to the starbase
Space station.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I left that one back.
It's not going to be able to handle 4 ships simultaneously. So, and then focus on repairing the Enterprise right now.
I think you probably put your target over there. And, no. You see what you did?
Yeah, so it's like this one you want to give that quick order, give the Enterprise, tell that to shoot over to the Starbase, or that shipyard, order to repair, and then really just jump right back because you're not.
Yeah, that's a surprisingly short time period you have to work with.
Yeah, and that's kind of like what precipitated me not finishing this game is that there are some of these objectives that are really finely balanced where you need to just you got to be pretty hardcore about how you go about those objectives.
You use precognition to decide what to do.
More like Rainbow Six level, Rainbow Six level coordination.
Oh wait, is this one of those games where the designers were expecting you to decide what to do while the game is paused?
Not quite. I mean, you could do that, but it's basically just quick decision making. Again, I would just put it like Rainbow Six. So yeah, not too much idling. You just gotta make the best decision you can in the moment.
Research pods have been exposed to space. Labs 4 and 5 are filled with toxic gas. You must stop the Romulan attack and get us out of here.
Wait, it's destroyed already?
Yep. It's probably taking damage while you're... Yeah, you got to warp in, so you do need to use the warp mechanic. What you usually want to do there, for these games, is basically just try to warp right on top of the enemy. So there's a little bit of a delay with the warp in, warp out, but it's not so long, so you will want to warp right there.
Engage the Romulan vessels. We have to keep them from destroying the outpost. Bring warp engines on.
So... Yeah, notice how the AI did it.
That's it.
You gotta do that.
There is no escape for you. Moving into attack position.
It's one thing about these classic live plays is we always tend to reveal ourselves as really terrible gamers.
Well, to be honest, a lot of these are things where it's like, oh, so that's how this game does it.
We have to relearn.
Yeah, so now you got the light ship now is taking most of the damage. And remember, you do want to switch down, like throttle down to like half impulse is kind of half impulse. I think. Yeah, I think basically turn rate in this one, like 1/4 impulse is your best bet. Self-destruct.
To be honest, that was actually a viable mechanic in the Orion Pirates game, simply because of the way that the capture system worked in that game.
In these games,
quite understood why Stowe put that power in.
Basically because it was a feature of the older games, I think, because it was like there was explosion damage as a pretty consistent feature. But Stowe toned that really far down.
Nothing gets through.
Well, also there's a lot of things that exist in Stowe simply because of the fact that they existed in the TV show.
The inactive repair facility nearby may be able to solve that dilemma. However, to return it to operation.
All right.
So now's the one where you really want to just like, if you need a ship that needs to get repaired, you send that one over, and then swap to controlling the other two. So now you just give him the order real quick, send over the engineers.
Okay.
And then click it again. Well, yeah, so you get the order wheel, and then you've got scan hail.
I think hail is what you need.
Yeah.
We have company. Hold the station.
Or that one's not too damaged, so yeah, don't worry about it right now. Just
No, I guess not.
Yeah, you want it. That's basically your fallback once your ships get damaged.
This is basically like a war of attrition, and that's how to avoid getting attrition.
Romulan vessel destroyed. Romulan vessel destroyed.
They've done it. The repair facility is operational. Now we can use it to patch up our ships.
Okie dokie.
So, did you notice the names of the Romulan ships? That's a nice touch, I think.
Romulan target destroyed.
So yeah, notice on your radar you've got one directly behind you.
So we have the Borussius and the Vrenek.
Yeah, and your other ships right now aren't doing so much, so yeah, just make sure that you're bringing those guys in, because it does make combat a lot easier.
Oh.
So you can even just, like, basically just make sure that the Enterprise is engaging the enemy, leave that one to the AI, then switch to another ship, bring that in, then switch to the other ship and bring that in.
Farktoid suggested using focus fire tactics by selecting all of your ships and then just telling them to shoot the same enemy.
Yeah, because it did say that you can group everyone together using, like, button 5. So the number 5.
Target shields down.
One thing I remember is to get your torpedoes to hit, you got to make sure that you're pointing in the direction of your target.
And you'll notice that
track
the reticle,
a little bit, but
yeah, well, they track a lot better once you get that lock. I think that reticle closing in tells you your basically your accuracy with the torpedo.
Some of the toxic gas spilled into the command module. It has a hallucinogenic effect. My crew is attempting to rescue personnel as we speak, but they are showing signs of dementia.
Can you get them out of there? Our transporter won't work with all that radiation in the outpost.
Understood. We will endeavor to move more quickly.
Koto standing by.
What the heck were they researching?
Yeah.
I think that's the question.
Make sure the Enterprise goes to that one too, because that's the one that needs it.
Commander Terrell, another flight of Romulan ships is approaching.
Do I dare?
Ooh.
You're going to have to hurry.
Awaiting orders.
Yeah, because you see the Romulans on radar. So yeah, now go to the other ship because oh crap, your other one is actually engaging the enemy right now. So, yeah, just order that one. No, not that. That one's good, but the other one, just tell that one to come back. He just.
Mintenius. That's a cool name. Sounds very Latin.
Romulan vessel destroyed. Enemy vessel indicated on tactical. Helm reports tactical position has been...
He's got lots of torpedoes. Yeah, you gotta, like, the torpedo arc is really narrow. So basically you have to be, like, pointed right at him. But that's gonna deal most of your damage.
Also, Hunter is apparently the ship
reticle.
class of the Mintenius here.
You might want to
what
throttle
does
down
that-
a little bit more.
I guess a Hunter class ship is one that has a lot of torpedoes.
Fire! Oh, we lost the lock. Yeah, throttling down might help a little bit because it looks like you're going pretty fast. Torpedo! Torpedo!
Throttle up to close into firing range, then throttle down to hold position.
Yeah, get that turn rate. Oh no! Fire torpedoes! Because this is a torpedo boat. You want to be, yeah, doing most of
Half
that.
torpedoes, full spread. Well, that did the trick.
I'm
Ooh,
not so sure I want to stick around for more. Enterprise to Commander Terrell, how is the evacuation coming?
It goes well, Captain. We have nearly everything
Enterprise is
we
good.
need.
The
However, it will require a
Bertha
bit more
probably
time.
We'll
is.
do what we can, but if they come at us in force again, it may be difficult to ensure your safety.
I have the utmost confidence in your capabilities, Captain
Then,
Archer.
yeah,
We all do.
that's probably good for now.
Koto to fleet.
Enterprise on station.
Awaiting orders.
Then it's the other one right now that you can probably bring over. Because it doesn't take long for them to go through the repair.
wait, can you give orders to the Saleya in this part
Archer to Terrell.
of the mission?
We picked up a large Romulan force bearing down on us. We must leave immediately.
Go to the menu,
Terrell.
you go to the map and order
What's
that
going on
one
in
just to
there?
warp
Respond.
directly to the start base.
Enterprise on station.
Directly in front.
To your coordinates.
Yeah, come on.
Romulan vessel destroyed.
Eartha did good.
Romulan ships detected.
Throttle down. You're. It looks like you're going full impulse. There you go.
You're flying
Get to
away
the other
from
side
me.
of the station. There's a lot of enemies.
Oh boy.
Yeah, and like, oh god, oh god.
Hey, so what happens if you collide with the station?
I don't think anything in this game.
Oh,
I know in Starfleet Command there was like collision damage, with some things.
it just occurred to me that would be a hilarious way to accidentally fail the mission. Is that you're flying around fighting the Romulans, and then you accidentally bump into the space station.
I don't think any of these games had collision except for Bridge Commander. You could run into things in Bridge Commander.
You could in the Starfleet Command games. You could run into planets, and I actually use that. They just Dragoon. There's 2 ships there. You don't want to take them on single-handedly with the Enterprise.
And they just blew up your repair yard.
Yep.
Yep.
Nothing for it but to stick around the station then.
Take us to the target area. Full impulse. Enemy vessel detected.
Little guy is going off on his own.
What the heck?
Koto standing.
Well, yeah, those are the only targets left. So you want to again think of like use this as basically think about like an RTS.
Enterprise on station.
It's a little weird because it's sort of not.
Yeah, that's why the closest analog I still say is Rainbow Six, because that was you sort of did the squad tactics but in a sort of real-time combat setting. And you're asked to basically do a little bit of multitasking, but not in the sense of a full-on RTS. But make sure you're bringing in the Bertha at this point, because you do want to make sure you're using that squad, because the game is designed around that. It will punish you if you don't.
Does this game have a difficulty level selection system?
Something.
Yeah, maybe, but it's not going to be... Yeah, this wasn't a super easy game. Unless you just went into instant action and just created a really unbalanced scenario.
Bet Archer wishes he had one of these.
One quick thing to note is your phaser meter. When you're just like right at the end of the cycle, you're really not going to do a whole lot of damage.
Terrell,
You do want to watch that meter as well.
Damn it all, we're still reading life signs on the outpost.
Oh, plot development.
We've lost the outpost and everyone aboard. Push your engines as hard as you have to. I want Terrell to answer for this. Pursuit course.
That won't
Some pretty energetic debris.
Thank you for your assistance. We couldn't have secured the necessary protomatter without your aid. Now we are much closer to accomplishing our goals. I doubt we'll meet again. But if we do, know that my gratitude will not save you in our next encounter.
I knew I didn't like that woman. Vulcans. Secretive and deceitful. I should have learned from the Andorians. My mistaken judgment cost these people their lives. I won't make that
I have to say,
error
I
again.
love the way that they did that in these games with debris, is that they would like take the three-dimensional model and then just like slice it into pieces, and then have the different pieces of the model be the pieces of debris.
Okay, we made it through that.
And I think from this point you're going to be in the next era, because the running thing is basically this Vulcan's research, and because she's Vulcan, she can last into the other eras.
I'm kind of curious what you guys are thinking of this so far.
I like it.
It's about like I remember.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just one of those things where it had a good style of gameplay, but it just, because it really didn't try to do anything more with the format, is pretty limited. So I think, even compared to Stowe, like, there are some things I like about this a little bit better. And that kind of comes into like the squad management type things, where STO kind of focused down onto like ability management, like a classic MMO. So this one sort of dealt a lot more with the gameplay and strategy, whereas Star Trek Online, you get a little bit of that, but it's much more about, how to chain abilities together and manage that quick selection, versus just trying to just do things that, for me, kind of are a little bit more intuitive.
Well, one thing that someone explained to me that I didn't get the first time I tried playing the game was that in games like Warcraft, not World of Warcraft, but the RTS game that World of Warcraft was loosely based on, the way to tell how good a player is by the number of actions that they can take per minute. And there's actually something that in the Warcraft AI files determines how dangerous the AI is the number of decisions the AI makes per minute.
That's kind of interesting. So if I go forward, I start at the Discovery class, then we do the Poseidon, then the Yorktown. If I go back, I get the Strider class. Like, are different...
No, it's good. Oh, what that?
Minuteman.
There's the Minuteman.
Where'd he come from?
Yeah, it was
that ship.
That's weird. It's like jumping to random things, and it's not like scrolling smoothly. Although, actually, that's one thing.
Oh, we got the NX.
So some of these games had a
you can afford another NX.
Finicky scrolling system where what they were meant to do is, if you hold the button, it's cycles between options, but it had a difficult time telling the difference between a single click and holding the button.
Wait, no, don't go with one of those.
What?
You had 2,000 points.
I didn't have enough for a Poseidon.
You had enough for an NX.
Too late. I already bought... Wait, I guess I can sell it.
Yeah, for the exact same amount, so they're not too punishing there. So I would go with another NX.
This is actually a game where you could basically like sell your entire fleet and buy a new one, just because you have decided that the current mission requires a different type of fleet.
Mm-hmm.
Captain's log, May 8th, 2159.
Hey, it's a Columbia.
While en route to Starfleet Command Headquarters after briefing the Vulcan government on Tyrell's subterfuge, Enterprise has been rerouted to render assistance in the Epsilon Theta star system. An outbreak of some kind of mutagenic virus has occurred on all the inhabited worlds within this system.
Wow, we can see it from space.
Starfleet has managed to synthesize a cure for this epidemic, and medical ships have been dispatched. However, there have been reports of attacks by Romulan vessels on some of our medical convoys. My task force has been assigned to protect Starfleet's efforts to send medical aid to the planets within Epsilon Theta. I can't help but wonder what the relationship was between Tyrell's research and the Romulans. Given her deception, I don't think her studies were as innocent and benign as I was led to believe. Still, involved or not, the Romulans have uncharacteristically spread into the unaligned systems throughout this sector. My instincts say they're up to something sinister.
Yeah, you're going to probably be using your map a lot for this one.
SFC says that we haven't gotten to the bad missions yet. Oh boy.
No, there are some pretty tough ones. So
I never finished the campaign personally.
Yeah, I didn't get to the TNG era. I think I was like tail end of the TMP era.
Medical team out.
To all ships, this is Enterprise. We'll be spreading ourselves a little thin, but I don't want any medical ships to head in unescorted. Be aware of anything unusual, especially Romulan vessels, and be prepared for a fight if it comes. Archer out.
Yeah, so just move to selected and then change to a different ship and make sure that you've got backup for these guys. You can also use your map to do this a little bit more quickly.
Setting course now.
Washington, standing by.
Course laid in.
Columbia, standing by.
You're not the Columbia's captain.
Yeah, there's 3 transports.
Yep, I sent. I'm going to send you off.
Actually, no. That was the one you've got following. Wait, where's the Enterprise go?
Enterprise is protecting the first one.
Okay, just making sure that you weren't like selecting the Enterprise. Okay, yeah, Enterprise is. Yeah, they're following. Oh yeah, they're only going for. Oh, okay, they're updating.
Oh.
Okay, you might want to take care of the Enterprise right now because that's the one that's gonna get to combat right now.
Enterprise on station.
So use the map to warp. Just basically where you think the Romulans are going to be, and then yeah, get right in combat.
Boarding warp, Captain.
Is this a bioengineered plague or something?
Probably.
Target shields down.
So you can hold the phasers down, like when you're firing, you'll notice that bar goes down. If you just hold your phasers, you're going to do basically a power hit. Unless, yeah. And then it goes down, and then you let it charge back up again.
Target shields down.
And then you fire it again.
Romulan target destroyed.
Now check your map. Just make sure the other 2 are, yeah. And Columbia's.
Columbia, standing by.
Enterprise on station.
To any Starfleet vessel. We have a number of critically ill people down here. They can't wait any longer for treatment. Can you help us?
The USS Bach is large enough to effectively treat these patients. If we hurry, we should be able to transport them to the Bach before their conditions worsen.
So you got to go to the planet in question. I just
Okay.
use the Columbia. Just use the Columbia for this one. See that
It's
white
not the
arrow?
USS Bach.
The USS Bach is not one of your ships. You got to
Okay.
go to the
It's
planet,
one of the transport ships.
You got to go to the planet, transport the refugees, bring them to the Bach. So you got to go to that.
Okay, I see. Columbia's not doing anything, so.
Aye, Captain. Warp speed ahead.
Is that a Vulcan?
Yep.
Sensors report enemy vessel.
Surprise! Not surprise.
Actually, you don't need to kill this one. I would just hail the planet.
But I want to kill him.
You also got to be strategic. Okay, open the menu. Transport.
Transport successful. Please.
Now go to the Bach.
Let them get the attention they need.
Alright, which one is the Bach?
When you take control of it, will it go into warp? Nope.
It's still steering.
Well, yeah, but well, you might actually be too close to the planet for warp. Forget how they kind of manage that mechanic. So yeah, just
Warp speed.
there you go.
Aborting warp, Captain.
Nightingale reporting. We're all set here. Moving on to Epsilon Theta 2. It's curious, Enterprise. We found high carbon concentrations bonded with
See if you can beam them
them
from this distance.
I've never seen anything quite like it before. We have transported the quarantined patients directly to sickbay. They'll receive proper medical attention. You got them to us just in time.
We've achieved our objective.
Our sensors
Hey, check
have
the map.
detected a Romulan starbase on the far side of the system. It appears to be the staging area for the attacks they've been mounting against us. If we could destroy
Isn't this like a
our job here would
TNG
become a lot
mushroom
easier.
station, but with a green paint job and slightly different shape of hull?
To any Starfleet vessel. We have a number of critically ill people down here. They can't wait any longer for treatment. Can you help us?
The USS Bach is large enough to effectively treat these patients. If we hurry, we should be able to transport them to the Bach before their conditions worsen.
Aborting warp, Captain.
Transport successful. Please, help them get the attention they need.
Warp speed.
Course laid in.
Man, you're supposed to.
Columbia, standing by. Warp speed now.
We have transported the quarantined patients directly to sickbay. They'll receive proper medical attention. You got them to us just in time.
Enemy target on sensors.
Uh-oh. Where's he going?
Where I sent him.
Uh-oh.
Warping to your coordinates.
You might want to have him just warp over to where that enemy unit is. Because again, you do need to use that warp function.
So what happens if you attempt to have your extra large starship Alpha strike the Romulan starbase?
It's not going to go so well. You want to bring in the full team for that.
Captain, enemy shields are down.
Enemy vessel detected.
Rocket
There you go.
target destroyed. Objective achieved.
Hmm.
Let's see how things are going on the map.
Koto to fleet. We have arrived at our destination.
Oh crap. Oh crap. That's not good.
Yeah, that looks like a trap. Oh yeah, that looks like a trap.
You need to bring over reinforcements right away.
One of your ship there.
I'd even bring over the Enterprise as well.
We are distributing the antitoxin to the inhabitants.
Yeah,
of the
and then
planet.
make sure that your ships are engaging in proper combat. Because you're probably... Yeah, you gotta get on that.
Stand by to fire phasers.
Hello, 1/4. Yeah, there you go.
Captain, enemy shields are down.
Okay. Ooh.
Target destroyed.
Awesome.
That was a nice
And
crit
one more
right there.
ship, directly behind you.
That exploded. That's weird that all of the debris for that Romulan ship started glowing bright yellow.
Well, it's got the yellow is sort of the molten effect that you saw a lot in TNG and
And they just like applied that to the entirety of the scrap metal coming from the Romulan ship.
well, not its entirety. It's just going to be the most visible feature.
See that one, when that one exploded, it didn't turn yellow. Oh well. Oh wait, there it goes.
All right, your destroyer is not doing anything over on the right-hand side. Oh god, yeah,
Crap.
you gotta bring your ships over there. So notice your destroyer is right behind that planet by your
We finished our sweep here, setting course for Epsilon Theta 7. These proteins we've sampled from patients have been sequenced meticulously. Whoever did this was very adept at genetic manipulation.
Fools! You are clearly outmatched.
Photons are loaded, sir. Romulan target destroyed.
I remember rightly, you could almost play the whole game just from the map. Because your ships will engage when you send them near to an enemy.
Yeah. The one thing you can't really manage is 3 dimensions. Yeah.
Course laid in.
Because, yeah, he's still stuck in not warp. You got to select your ship using the... You can't, like, just highlight them. Yeah, there you go.
Proceed to warp.
And I just have him move over to where your other 2 ships are to hang out there. It's basically be on call.
I want the battleship to be on call.
And then, oh, it looks like your Enterprise is stopped moving.
Nope, it's the other one.
Okay. Yeah,
Aye, Captain. Warp
you're
speed
probably
on.
not going to get ships appearing.
Warp, Captain.
Yeah, I would go ahead and right now move the battleship sort of up.
Objective
Oh,
achieved.
there you go.
Washington.
Incoming.
Standing by. Warping to your coordinates. Setting course.
Yeah, it doesn't look like they're following when you're using the map command.
Koto standing by.
You know, this is one of those situations where, looking at the game, playing the thing, and when you look at it try to look at it from the point of view from the Romulan squadron commanders, like, what the heck was the Romulan squadron commander thinking?
Course
Right,
set,
that's not-
Captain.
Washington. Standing by.
Enterprise on station.
Proceed to warp.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right by your nacelles.
Koto standing by.
The Trinus. Or Trintis.
Romulan target destroyed.
Well, that was quick.
Apparently this thing
Yeah,
has a
light
lot of
shipment.
torpedoes.
Our sensors are picking up multiple contacts converging on our position. We'll need an escort to get any further.
Oh, God.
Enterprise on station, awaiting orders.
I would just send a bunch of dudes over there right now, because it looks like, yeah, you're not able to. Oh, yeah, Dragoon, up north.
Captain.
Big problem there.
Out of warp, Captain.
Yeah, you gotta
Sensors
order your
report
guys to
enemy
do the
vessel.
escort in order to escort.
Standing by.
And I would link right on
Sir,
top
we're
of
dropping
the
out of warp.
transport, because the transport's going to get hit first. That guy's not the big threat. There's another one that's right on top of the transport.
Koto standing by. Warping to your coordinates.
You can actually get more of a 3-dimensional flight angle in this game than you can in Stowe.
Yeah.
There's still
But
an
you
up
can't do a
though.
full- You can't do a full loop, but you can get more of an angle.
Yeah, it definitely comes into play more, and it does allow for a little bit more tactics, because like coming down on top of someone is a little bit more of a viable option, because you can basically get a little bit more easily blindsided.
Romulan vessel destroyed.
Captain, enemy shields are down. Romulan target
Yeah, so double check on the other ships right now, especially the Enterprise, to make. Oh yeah, you have to give your ships the order to follow the transport, or else they'll just sit there and not doing anything.
And then the transport gets out of weapons engagement range and then gets attacked, and
Takes it
Oh.
over it. So now this guy's probably going to engage that Romulan ship. So I would leave this guy, and then make sure your other ships, because they're not doing anything right now.
Captain, any more hits like that and this ship will decompress.
That first ship, like that's furthest north, is getting attacked, and he's completely undefended. Or the one on the
crap.
right's now undefended. Yeah.
yeah, that's. Oh, that's what that audio thing was. That was the captain of the medical ship begging you to save them.
Yeah, and that Columbia up furthest north is still not doing anything. You got to give him the order to follow the ship. 'Cause
Oh,
he's not gonna
that's
do
a
anything.
hunter.
Columbia
That's a hunter there. Yeah, that's going to be a problem.
Then once you sort of switch this view, he's not going to. Okay, there you go.
Yeah, I say the problem is you can't give them the order to follow on the map.
And you got to be oh god. You just tell him to back off because he's going to try to warp into the starbase. And then you got to watch out for the one on the right. He's still not doing anything. That ship is still getting attacked.
Engaging warp drive. Aborting warp, Captain.
Washington.
We're heading to Epsilon Theta 7, preparing to enter standard orbit.
Engage. Enterprise on station, awaiting orders.
Aborting warp, Captain.
Columbia to fleet. We're in position.
Objective achieved.
Koto to fleet. We have arrived at our destination.
Yeah, it does the same gimbal lock that Stowe does.
You would stand against us? You invite your doom.
Captain, enemy shields are down. Enemy weapon system damaged. Romulan target destroyed.
Columbia standing by.
I have to say that particular view there, that was a really cool one. If you just like flying past the Romulan ship and just like zapping the crap out of it.
Yeah, so Columbia's probably good to leave off now. Then switch over to the other ones and make sure they're doing the same, because those guys are they're not helping.
Yeah, but there's only 2 transports left.
Yeah, but you want to start thinking about going for the starbase. So bring over the Enterprise. Yeah, bring over the Enterprise to
Course laid in.
Yeah, because you still got to take that. Oh yeah. Bring over the other 2 ships now. So the Enterprise and your destroyer. Because you might get attacked by the starbase, and you want to get your firepower right there. Because you will need that.
I did it again.
Captain, sensors report enemy vessel.
Yeah, I just saw somebody said if that's like the star bases from the Fleet Command games, it has like twice the firepower of a battleship.
Yeah. I would just Columbia 2. Just get everyone on that one, and then be ready to like have some of these guys bugger out if they get hit too badly.
He who fights and runs away lives to fight another day, or something.
Yeah. Unless, oh wait, no, this is actually, no, it's starting to hit now. Now is the Columbia engaging?
Columbia isn't here.
Well, it's on your radar.
That's the light. That's a torpedo boat.
No. There's the
one in front of me is not the Columbia.
I'm looking to the one on your right.
Did you at least bring your like battleship thingy?
No, he's probably going to be fine now once he gets another torpedo hit.
Oh.
There you go.
That enemy vessel destroyed when it was a starbase.
Oh, you don't do a whole like in sort of the main gameplay. You're not dealing with a whole ton of these installations.
Oh, I see. So it's one of those things where it's such a rarity that you're shooting up a starbase that they didn't bother recording a separate voice line.
Yeah, mechanically, I mean, these are basically just starships that are just stationary. Yeah, I would now double check on your battleship to make sure he's not getting engaged.
I have to say that scorch mark pattern on the upper hull is impressive. How does this game do that? Because every single time it's actually trying to track which points on your hull got hit by enemy weapons.
Yeah, I mean that's
some rudimentary form of that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty similar to what you see in a first-person shooter with basically with bullet holes and scorch marks. Yeah.
Well, I mean, some games just like fudge it with you're damaged X%, therefore change your character model to look damaged. But then again, one of the, I think it was like GoldenEye on the N64, was one of those old FPS games where it actually like tracked bullet impact locations and put like scorch marks on the walls where you shot the wall.
Well, yeah, that's like when you're actually like shooting the environment, that's very basic to shooters now, that they will leave bullet holes on particular locations, and some will also do that on character models. Like Rainbow Six, for example, in this era. So Rainbow Six Vegas, which I think was 2006. I think that was released concurrently with this.
This game would actually like track the specific locations where ships got hit.
Yeah, and then just apply a decal right where that occurred.
You could turn in one of those and get another battleship.
Oh yeah, upgrade your fleet because you can only have 4 of them. So get rid of the little bitty ones and buy bigger things.
Yeah,
is there like an advantage to having the smaller ones? Because I mean, the destroyer has like 8 photon torpedo banks.
I mean, if you're really like playing with it, but if you're like right now, it's kind of, you're still like learning. I would just go full on power.
Well, I suspect that there are situations in the game where you might want to have a really, really fast ship to run something down. Or I don't know that that's true. I'm just like guessing. It's the sort of thing that could happen.
Yeah, so now you notice that you, if you sell the other ones now, you earn half as much. It basically allows you to earn everything back if you basically do a
Oh yeah, it's only the one I just bought that I can sell for full price.
Yeah, just in case you made a mistake.
Interesting note: the battleships have the TOS Bussard collectors.
Yeah,
it's cool.
Captain's personal log, May 12, 2159. Our medical experts have confirmed the plague infecting the Epsilon Theta system was most definitely an artificial event. Due to the level of sophistication they indicate is necessary to synthesize something this complex and lethal, we suspect Romulan involvement. The first minister of Epsilon Theta Prime.
I would suspect Romulan involvement simply because there was a Romulan armada there. I mean, you know.
Its design indicates
the writing on these games wasn't that elaborate.
Yeah.
I mean, 2006.
But they were trying to like justify a lot of these gameplay scenarios. Rather than like trying to tell like a super elaborate narrative. So it's basically just a reason to get you here with a bunch of ships and go through a series of objectives. So it's very action. It's the level that of kind of like you're just, well, actually not standard Halo, but I would just say like
we have no idea what we're walking into here. Proceed with caution. Our immediate goal
just don't you start talking crap about the Halo story. No, because that's actually the other point where that's actually where you get a huge sprawling narrative. I'm thinking like probably more like a time shift or even time splitters of just some missions are just like it's just there, so you're just blowing stuff up.
Sensors indicate.
Well, to be honest, when you're writing a game-long story arc and you decide you need a certain number of missions to fill out the story, you kind of end up making certain missions that are relatively boring as lead up to the interesting things.
We are playing the Star Trek Legacy equivalent of Ravenholm.
Shut down your engines and prepare to be boarded.
They are not responding, Captain.
Concentrated scan. I want to know what's on that ship. Looks like that ship was a drone. No one was on board. Sensors are telling us they're carrying a large concentration of the toxin used to poison Epsilon Theta. But where is she headed? Parallel course. Don't let the drone out of sensor range. Objective achieved.
Course set, Captain.
And yeah, since you notice how all the ships are lit up in the corner there. Yeah, they're doing the group commands. In combat, basically just let's get them, lads. Hit them with sticks.
SFC 100 says that there was originally supposed to be like historical battles and that sort of thing that was going to be a feature of the game. I don't think it ever was until modders got a hold of it and put that stuff in.
Well, there have been a lot of cases where developers would, like make promises about what they were planning to put in the game. And then, when it comes crunch time to meet their deadline for actually publishing the game, they cut things because they decide they don't have time to finish it before release.
Oh, yeah. Knights of the Old Republic 2 cut an entire planet out of its game.
Ooh.
There was a big modding effort to try and restore that, wasn't there?
I believe there was. I don't remember if I ever played it or not.
There have actually been several cases where modders would go into something and,
Well, Quick Dragoon, make sure your other ships are with you. Yep, they're good.
They are.
Yeah, just made I just saw them falling off the radar. It's like, oh wait, are they actually really far away? Yeah. And that's why it's good to have all the ships there at once.
DPS clustering. It's a good thing sometimes.
It's basically, again, like Rainbow Six. It's just like, hey, I'm just going to order my team to take these guys out so I don't have to try to solo it. Because they balance the game so you can't.
So if 4 people shooting one heavily armored target means it dies.
Yeah.
Whereas
It's
one
kinda-
person, it's a prolonged firefight.
Yeah, it's the Republic Commando model where, they really want you to use the squad, so they're going to really punish you if you try to take something out on your own. You got to use squad commands, otherwise it is a very protracted experience.
The one thing that I really, really hated about Freedom Force is the fact that there is no HP regeneration in that game. Period. In story missions, you can find items that will restore the health of the character that picks the item up. That is actually, even then though, the amount of HP total for all of your characters for the mission is set before the mission even starts. Because those items don't spawn at random. They're placed on the map, so there's a limited number of them available for each mission.
Dang it. Green Dragoon and Dragon and I are both kind of idling in stow on the side here, and I was just about to spawn lots of NPCs around him, and he logged off. He escaped. Oh, look, you're trying to share a warp field.
I'm gathering dilithium. Is what I'm doing.
Oh, is this how we're going to make a Stargazer?
When 2 and X classes love each other very much.
And look how he's moving now. Oh god!
It's too bad you can't turn one of them upside down.
This is just a nature documentary, and your guys' commentary sucks.
Oh god! I want to know what the other 2 ships are doing. They're doing the same thing.
Basically the same thing. Yeah.
Oh god! We're gonna end up with 6 ships by the end of this.
Somebody's broadcasting very light over all the channels.
Alright, I see a starbase.
Yeah, so I would kind of assume this one might be a little bit tougher.
We're registering a large amount of the toxin in liquid form.
This is what's happening in the ships.
They're synthesizing the toxin here, then taking it into Starfleet sectors.
This game rated mature?
Okay. Hello. Hey, Cloak, the starbase. That's going to make things fun.
Sensors. The energy requirements to cloak something of that size must be astronomical. That's definitely a Romulan cargo ship, though. She's taking evasive action. Objective achieved.
Wait, they don't have cloaked cargo ships? What?
Make things go boom.
Follow the things.
Come on, big fatty ships. There they go.
With the station cloaked, we won't be able to target the facility's key systems to destroy it. We've got to find the source of the toxin. Search pattern Omega. It must be located at one of the planets in the system.
Objective achieved. Locked on target, sir. Target shields down.
Couldn't you just like set proximally fused torpedoes and fire them at the last known coordinates of the starbase, though? I mean, if all your goal is to blow the starbase to bits.
Yeah, you're right, Mark. That should be how it works.
I mean, because it's like that thing in the one movie where they're firing on the cloaked bird of prey. They're not actually getting an active target lock. They're just pointing their weapons at the last known location.
And the difficulty of that was the fact that the bird of prey was moving. And was a bird of prey versus a starbase.
A big old Romulan starbase, I mean, you know.
As always, the answer is, why can't I do this? Is because the developers didn't program it that way.
Yeah. Yeah, so at this point, Dragoon, I would just make sure you're also using the 5 key. Yeah, there you go. Because this, you don't have to split anyone up. I would just do, Alpha Strike with the whole fleet with this one. Maybe also, see if, you can do all that, while piloting one of the big ships, because then they might the NXs might sort of go to the same speed, rather than those guys running a little bit ahead.
Actually, though, that reminds me of something that it's a commentary I heard from someone recently about tabletop role-playing games, is that you have the person who writes the scenario, and then when the players start playing the scenario, one of the players is like, okay, I'm just going to go do this, and then the person who wrote the scenario is like, I didn't think that anyone would even think of that option.
Yeah. And that's what a good Dungeon Master does, is basically roll with it and let the players create their own little story.
Well, what he explained was that it basically means okay, sometimes when I do this, I have to basically forget about what I was planning to do and then just make up a new story as I go along.
Yep, that's basically how my game of Dungeons and Dragons went. Because I was playing as an insane wizard, which basically means any plan that you have, it will go wrong in some way. You wouldn't imagine the crazy old wizard to bull rush a mob. So just how to construct the scenario so I don't die.
In the one case, they had someone who was a ranged attacker who, because the person who created the character didn't really carefully plan out their character, they had it so that this character's presumably they added this for aesthetic reasons primarily, but this character carried around a large ritual dagger, even though she was, a warlock. So
I had a bucket.
Well, see, with this particular individual, though, is that there's this one case where, the DM's like, okay, so one of the skeleton pirates, or undead pirates, it wasn't a skeleton, it was a zombie pirate. But anyway, is trying to do a melee attack. What are you going to do about it? And she's like, oh, well, I'll just stab the guy with my dagger. She's a warlock.
One quick strategy on this one is basically what you just did there, where you pass right over the ship, get them with the forward torpedoes, and then once you just pass right over them, unload with the rear ones.
Oh yeah, this game doesn't have shield faces, does it?
It will. Actually,
it will,
no, it doesn't.
But you were in it does. It has some
because you're fighting the guys right? who have shields, but they don't have facing.
You might be right about that.
It
just has one value for all your shields.
Yeah, so they got the Halo style of shields.
Any more biogenic material from this planet. However, we have to be sure there are no more orbital stations like this one in the system. Continue search pattern and be alert.
Jeez, how many clandestine solar or star bases are the Romulans able to build in one solar system without the feds noticing?
Group you guys together.
Adams to fleet. We have arrived at our destination.
Use 5. 5.
I am using 5.
Oh god, what's going on? Control 5?
Romulan ships.
Washington, standing by.
Columbia, standing by. Adams, standing by.
Enterprise on station.
Proceed to warp. Romulan ships on approach.
Proceeding to warp.
Now, you have the warp command too that you can basically use a little bit more, just sort of ad hoc. I just don't know which button's going to be.
Target shields down. Romulan target destroyed.
Romulan spotted.
Yeah, they're going to be hitting over.
So how badly can your ship's hull get messed up in this game?
Probably pretty badly.
Proceeding to warp.
One of your big fatties isn't engaging.
Aborting warp, Captain.
So, I mean, because the one ship I'm seeing on the screen here has like almost like a full Star Trek II style a hole straight through the hull.
Yeah, I mean, you can basically get this guy looking like the Enterprise at the end of Season 3.
Okay, then.
Yeah, whole thing just messed up.
Swiss cheese held together with bubble gum.
Yep.
Columbia to fleet. We're in position.
Trip, I'll need all the power you can give us. Warp speed.
Captain, sensors report enemy vessel.
Adams to fleet. We have arrived at our
Yeah.
destination.
Well,
Yeah,
that tells you something. Tells you this game takes place before Trip died.
Well, Trip died at oh yeah, that's actually a pretty good one because Trip died like just before the Federation Charter was signed, so this is pre-Fed.
One of the interesting things with that is that isn't Trip the guy who died in a scene that halfway implied that he wasn't really dead?
Yeah, that's basically the sequel hook in case they brought back Enterprise in this season 5.
I believe they did resurrect him in some of the books or something.
Yeah, but it hasn't happened officially yet, so by canon, we'd have to say that he's still dead. Don't forget the other. Yeah, there you go.
Columbia, standing by. Adams, standing by.
That guy wasn't ordered.
Setting course.
Oh, he controls.
Romulan vessel destroyed.
Oh god.
Surprise! I mean,
Romulan
destroyed.
Yeah, Bertha took out that Starbase by itself. Yeah, these guys have got super strong.
This is why I was asking that question earlier. It's like these are the biggest ships you can have at this point in the game.
Yep.
Presumably they have a lot of firepower.
They do. I mean, they don't have as many torpedoes as small ones, but their phases are just like you're just firing beam overload constantly.
Position at designated coordinates.
Washington to fleet. We're in position.
Enterprise on station.
Pair up all my ships. How are we doing on time?
About
15 minutes?
15 minutes left. Yeah. I have no idea if this mission's going to be like another half hour or another 5 minutes.
Are you? I kind of get the impression that you're like halfway done or something.
I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, I mean, classic game design would be you sort of take care of all these individual places, and it opens up a new final boss area, and you take care of that starbase, and you're good. Oh God, I mean, I think it's what is that? Columbia is really, really
It's about half dead.
Yeah, you might want to do something about that one.
Oh, go to it and tell it to like hold position and repair itself. Wait, which one's the one on the right on your little like selection?
The one
thing?
we're controlling right now. Notice how the it's outlined in the box now and glowing white.
Yeah, but the other one looks like it has more damage.
No. We were definitely controlling the one that had the most damage.
Mm.
The one that's mostly red. Who's now repairing. Yeah, that one's just got the visual effect.
All right, everybody whose damage is repairing. Tempted to leave behind. What is it? The Columbia.
I would just sort of like, you just sort of order it so that one is appearing last. So just in the cycle, you would order the two heavies in first, then the Enterprise, then the Columbia.
Mm-hmm.
So it's still available. So you're not like forcing the other three to basically take on ships scenarios by themselves.
Yeah, I mean, because when you have a ship just sit there and repair itself for a while, you can always like tell it to stop repairing and then go fight things. You don't have to wait till it finishes.
Enterprise on station.
Adams standing by.
Engaging warp drive.
Columbia, standing by.
Enterprise on station.
Washington, standing by.
Warping to your coordinates.
Yeah. Let's see. Whoosh.
Of course, Columbia was in position and...
Well, it's all fixed now.
Proceeding
All right.
to warp.
Are the others warping?
Sensors report enemy vessel.
Proceeding to warp.
Because I think when you took control of them, they might have bugged out a little bit.
That
Nope.
biogenic transport's named Venin. That's cool.
Warp speed now.
One of your ships is engaging.
Yeah, only one of them warped. Check out. No, oh, there they go.
Coordinate set.
Wait, so,
Because it depends on what...
Yeah,
What's
they're
that
just
number
working
on the
their
screen?
orientation.
Because when I look underneath your little like ship display on the
Oh.
HUD, I see what looks like a Romulan's emblem with a 1400.
Oh,
next
you
to it. What's
probably
that
have
mean?
to
Is
really
that like
worry
the
about,
strength of
or how much they've been delivering for their
the plague stuff?
Yeah. So you might want to worry about that transport that was
We've totally been paying attention to the plot.
Yeah. See that little transport? Yeah, those transports down there. You might want to order one of your ships.
To go
Yeah, the
kill them.
Columbia or Enterprise to take care of that, and then make sure that big heavy is getting over there,
Warp speed on my
because
command.
he's just doodling over.
Enemy shields are down. Romulan vessel destroyed. Take us out.
Enemy vessel detected.
Harvesting Station 73. Are those things sequentially numbered?
Romulan vessel
Probably not.
destroyed.
Romulan target destroyed.
Boosh.
Romulan vessel destroyed.
Holding position.
Hey, that station had a different shape than the previous one. That's cool. Fark said NX-02 needs food badly.
Adams standing by.
Enemy vessel detected.
Target shields down. Romulan
He did not do good.
We're in position.
Now I want that power and stow where you just like fire one of your phasers and it just sits there holding for like several seconds.
Oh, like a continuous phaser beam.
Yeah, because we got beam
Well,
overload, but it's still just
if you get that
Actually,
the
we
three piece set from one of the missions. That's a phaser and a torpedo and a console. Gives you a big old phaser beam power.
Well, what I was going to say is that one of the special STF gear items is a Borg cutting beam, which, when you use it in combat, it essentially stays turned on constantly.
Through its firing cycle, so it'll basically be firing like a phaser would.
Well, see, because it doesn't just go zap, 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 zap the way phasers do. It just goes, yeah. It just like, it looks like it's just like constantly cutting a hole in the enemy while it's locked onto a target.
Sensors report Romulan ships.
So yeah, so we blew up all the. Now we got that central one. It should be bad if like the Enterprise, it like spawns on top of the Enterprise.
Oh, right. The old. So surprise! I was cloaked the entire time.
They've launched 2 more transport vessels. Sensors say they're each loaded with toxin. The Romulans are attempting to take it out of the system. Scans indicate they are also stocked with plasma torpedoes. If we can detonate them, it might be enough to destabilize the cloaking shield on the base.
We've achieved our objective.
Yeah.
You die.
Captain, enemy shields are down.
Fire!
Nerosian. I like that name.
Romulan target destroyed.
Okay, yeah,
Okay.
you gotta worry about that. Yeah, now order all your guys over there.
We have arrived at our destination.
Course laid in.
Alpha strike the starbase.
Adams standing by.
I know. I kind of want one of these in stow.
Enemy ships on tactical.
Yeah, it's a nice design. I like how the strut comes together with a hull. And oh god, you gotta repair the Columbia.
Well, one thing that's interesting to me about it is that the main difference between it and the ships we have is the way the nacelles are attached to the secondary hull.
They did some interest, like there's a few interest.
Well, see, it reminds me of the Atlas a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the
Actually,
Atlas is a little bit more
Is
simple.
that, and I think if you put an Atlas on a and used the Discovery Vanity Shield, I bet you it'd look pretty good.
It's kind of like the nacelle struts are attached to the neck rather than the secondary hull. Actually.
Yeah, it's got that little bit of extra complexity.
Target shields down.
Oh, your weapons were damaged. Oh, you really need to fix those.
You know, I asked
The plasma torpedo's displacement has disrupted
the guy from CBS who does works with licensing one time about who actually owns the rights to ships that are made for these games, and he explained it to me, and I still don't understand it.
Romulan ship carrying them going to war.
But I think actually
wait,
CBS retains rights to the design.
Is the answer something along the lines of both, sort of?
In many cases, it depends on the specifics of the contract that the ships were built for. Because a lot of the time, the contract will stipulate that the ships are owned by the parent company, or in some cases, they will have it that they are owned by the person who designed them.
Yeah. It probably depends on like the specific negotiations of the contract, and you probably for each ship would need to go through what that contract was at the time to make sure that you're doing the right job there.
Because I mean, it comes up every so often. Somebody will post a design from one of these old games, and they had some cool designs, obviously, and like we want this in stow, and it's like, well, A, can they, and B, would they want to?
Yeah.
Well, one of the most bitter legal disputes in comic book history was because of the fact that a person had been hired to write several issues of a comic book, but their employment contract did not stipulate that the parent company owned the rights to the characters that they created as part of this comic book run. So the person who created the characters was able to sell them to Marvel Comics later.
Well,
this, of course, being back when Neil Gaiman worked on Spawn, and in lieu of its original creator, McFarlane.
Well, we got that mission completed, so that's probably a good place to end for the evening.
Yay!
So thanks everyone for joining us, and hopefully we will be back to Foundry stuff this coming weekend.
Hopefully,
yep,
very soon. And then more downtime with the expansion.
Well, I mean, if we got the new code
it
branch,
hasn't been the greatest era for downtime here these last 2018.
Well, I mean, presumably the expansion won't be for a week or two after the Foundry comes back up.
Well, the one thing is that since we had the new code branch launch now, we might not have big downtime with Victory's Life. So it's one of the things. It's just we always got to play it just expansion by expansion.
Yep.
Needless to say, the first thing that I will be looking for when the Foundry comes back up is new Deep Space Nine.
It's
because Taco
probably not going to be.
I doubt it.
No, they said that.
About it.
They said that it probably won't be ready in time for Victory's Life because they do need to do substantial modifications to the map to make it work.
It'll be hooked up with Foundry doors, though.
Yeah, it will be hooked up with Foundry doors.
But we won't have a version we can customize in the Foundry.
Not at launch, most likely. It's, if they have a lot of extra time and someone's willing to do it, then yeah, but that's not looking in the cards right now.
Well, whatever.
In any case, we shall see. But for the moment, we will say good night.
Good night.
Good night.